Hey guys, so I have come to do my end of year and winter TBR. First of all, this is really annoying me. I've showed this in a haul recently, but I don't like the cut. Now I'm like wearing it. I don't like the cut of the top. It just is awkward. So I think I'm going to start with the books that I need to or want to read for the end of the year. This is sort of compatible with this readathon I'm taking part on called Clear Your Shit, which aims at tackling things that have been on your TBR that you want to just kind of clear out, I guess, before the end of the year. It started sometime in November and I think it ends on the 27th of December. So I've got a good stack for that. I've still not got everything, like a book for every prompt. But anyway, I'm just going to start with the books that I'm currently reading. Then I'll get on to the rest of the end of the year TBR, and then I'll just get on to the general winter TBR. So not for the end of this year, but just until winter ends. So one of the current reads, I'm reading 3 at the minute, is My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I am, let's see, on page 132 of this, and I'm actually really enjoying it. I think it's because I went in expecting it to be a straight up thriller. I was sort of expecting it to be a little bit of a satire, and I knew from other reviews that people said that it focuses more on the relationship between the two sisters. So I think because I had that in my mind, I had different expectations maybe. But basically we're following two sisters, Howdee-haie and Ayoola, and basically Howdee-haie is the older sister who is always cleaning up after her little sister Ayoola, who seems to be a little murderous. She seems to keep getting these boyfriends and then killing them, and Howdee-haie is always there to kind of help her clean up the mess and keep her out of prison basically. But it's getting to the point now where Ayoola is coming to her work and is getting someone wooed by her, and that someone is unfortunately the doctor who Howdee-haie works with and has had a crush on. So yeah, it's not going well for Howdee-haie. I'm sorry, it's really gloomy outside, so the lighting's going a bit funny. But yeah, I'm actually really liking this. It's only a short one. It was shortlisted for the Women's Prize of Fiction for 2019, and I'm actually loving it so far. So as I say, I'm nearly done actually. I'm 132 pages in. It's only like just over 200 I think, so there's that one. I'll probably finish that this month. Then I've got 2 buddy reads to show. So I'm currently in a buddy read for The Novice by Trudy Canavan, which is the second book in the Black Magician trilogy, and I'm reading this with Deborah from Hills of Books on Instagram. And yeah, we read the first one last month and we're reading the second one this month, and I'm enjoying it. It's about a young girl who lives on the streets basically. She lives in like a slum area of this sort of world, and she stumbles upon these powers. Basically these magicians, they have this guild. It's very regulated. Every year they have this sort of purge where they try to clear out all the miscreants and slum dwellers from the basically gated wealthy area. And this year she's so angry, she's full of so much hatred, she manages to break through their like protection barrier as they're purging, and basically alerts them that there might be a rogue magician, and she's shocked because she's never known to have this power, and it's following her journey on there. And yeah, this is the sequel. I'm really enjoying it. I'm currently 152 pages. I think we're reading this until the end of this month, so that's another one. And then to wrap up my current reads, I have got the newer book that came in, released this year, and that is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Pellini. I'm buddy reading this with Lexa Wendy on Instagram and Leonie Reads on Instagram, so we're doing a little trio reading group thing. And yeah, this is awesome so far. I'm on page 298, so just under 300 pages, which is awesome. We're doing this more as like a chill reading. We've just got a chunk to read each week, with like a week in the middle of our time frame for a catch-up sort of week. I think we're planning to continue this over November and December, and I think the last date I had written down was for the week of the 27th, so I'm pretty sure it sort of ends in there too. But I've also got this on my Clear Your Shit readathon too, to count as like intimidating read or whatever. We're loving this so far. I think we're all really enjoying it. Christopher Pellini is one of my favourite authors. He did the Inheritance Cycle, with the first book being Eragon. I absolutely adored. So when I finally got my hands on his new release, I was so ecstatic, especially because it's a complete different genre, which I know sci-fi and fantasy go hand in hand a lot of the time, but to read something very different from what I'm used to, because his other series has like dragons and shit, but this is like basically a space odyssey. I was excited to see where we got to. So in this book we're following Kira Naviras. She is a xenobiologist, and basically Earth has colonized a lot of space, or they're still colonizing, and so she's on one of these inhabited planets, and they're just, you know, setting up the structure, making sure it's safe for more people to move to, and she stumbles on this thing, I guess this xeno, and as a xenobiologist she wants to know more about it, but things go to shit. Everything goes crazy, her life gets flipped upside down. It's basically first contact with aliens. They're in this massive war with these aliens and these humans, and she's still trying to uncover the secrets of this specimen that she's discovered, basically, and try and figure out how to kind of get her life back on track whilst being pretty much fundamental in this war that's going on, and also try not to get herself killed. So yeah, it's awesome. It's such an epic journey so far. I've still got like 400 pages left or so, 500 pages maybe. It's a chunker, but I am very much enjoying it. So there's that one. So on to the other books that I'm hoping to get to for the end of the year. As we've sort of, well, you can see the trend already. I've been buddy reading the Black Magician trilogy with Deborah, so I kind of have in my mind maybe offering us to do the third and final book of the trilogy come December, if we enjoyed this second buddy read together. And the third is The High Lord, again by Trudy Canavan, and that wraps up the Black Magician trilogy. And then I believe there's a spin-off trilogy, is it The Traitor's Spy? I can't remember if that's the name of the trilogy or just the name of the first book, but maybe we could buddy read that together in the new year or something. So if we go the same way that we've been going with the first two books, although we are still currently reading the second book, then I feel like it'd be nice sort of wrap up for the year, and then I'd have something to say that, wow, I finished a series in like a short period of time, which would be nice. So fingers crossed she's up for it too. I think this is the chunkiest out of all of them. It's like just like shy of 650 pages. Yeah, so we shall see how that goes. And then some of these I've talked about before in prior what do you call them, TBRs? I don't know what's happening. I haven't had like breakfast and I think I'm going a bit doolally, like I need some energy. So I'll sort of skim through those for the sake of this video to not bore you, in case you've already heard those a plethora of times. I don't know if that sentence structure made sense, but we have Down and Out in Paris and London by George Orwell. This is pretty much a true account, I think it's somewhat autobiographical, I really struggled to say that word, of Orwell's time during a really poor season for him, where he was basically down and out in Paris and London trying to find work, and the things he discovered about himself, his hardships and stuff like that. So I do think it's a bit more of like a bit of history about him as a person. So that'll be interesting. As I've mentioned before, I've read Animal Farm and 1984 both this year, I think, so that'll be another thing. Even though they're not connected, they're just all by this author, it'd be nice to kind of wrap that up, as those are the three books I own by him. So yeah, I just think this might be like a slightly drier read because it is, you know, more autobiographical. I had to really sound that out. But yeah, it's a really short read. In theory it should be quite quick, but I feel like it will take me a little while. Then we've got another recurring fiend on my TBRs, The Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I know, I'm kicking myself because I think this and another book that I don't think I've included in this list, I think I've got into my head where I tried to pass it away until the hype died down, but now I feel like I've got my own hype internally engraved, that I am almost putting it off for fear that I don't enjoy it as much as I hope and feel that I would. So it's my own thing, I just need to beat that. I do have like a reading vlog that I want to do for this and another book, so we'll see if that comes to light. I really hope that I get to this the end of this year. It's also on my Clear Your Shit-a-thon, readathon list, so I hope I get to it. Yeah, I really do need to. I think everybody knows about Children of Blood and Bone, so I'm just going to skip this one. I've talked about it a lot already in the past. Then something else that will be another series finished. This is Sea Spell by Jennifer Donnelly, and it is the 4th and final book in the Waterfire saga. A lot of people know it to be described as Percy Jackson but mermaids, and I kind of get that logic in a way. I guess it is aimed at those sort of fans, and I love Percy Jackson, so I think that's what also piqued me in, other than the fact with mermaids. I love mermaids. So yeah, it's its own thing. It's just a very prophecy kind of based adventure story with a group of mermaids trying to save their world and to stop the evil that is brewing again after, I think, centuries or something. And yeah, as I say, this is the final book. I first started the series back in 2015, I think, when it was released, and then I had this massive hiatus for like 5 years, and I've only really just started catching up. I think I read the first 2 books like years between, and then this year I finally got to the 3rd book, so I would like to finish the 4th book and wrap that up as a series. It has been enjoyable, and I think I've done some reading vlogs where I've spoken about the 3rd book or something, so there's that. And then I've got this one. This is actually, this and the next one were both sort of low-key what I was hoping to get through during October, but I just didn't, and that is James Herbert's Lair. This is, I sort of just picked it up on a whim one day this year in terms of purchasing it, and then I was happy to realise that it was a sequel to The Rats, which is, let's see, I think I've got it here, a book series that I feel like I got told to read by a friend years ago, and I wasn't sure if these were actually connected or not, but I believe it is a direct sequel. So I've got The Rats here in this really gorgeous edition, and I will read you the back of this just so you get an idea of what we're saying. I feel like it might be a trilogy, but I'm not too sure, and I feel like my mum had read at least the first book years ago and said it was horrifying, but from what I can remember, I did enjoy the first book, so it would be nice again knowing that this is a sequel just to continue on with things like that. So it says here, it was only when the bones of the first devoured victims were discovered that the true nature and power of these swarming black creatures, with their razor-sharp teeth and the taste of human blood, began to be realised by a panic-stricken city. For millions of years, man and rat have been natural enemies, but now for the first time, suddenly, shockingly, horribly, the balance of power had shifted. So it's basically like these mutated rats are running rampant, killing people, eating people, festering the streets of, I think it's set in London, I might be wrong. It also got me excited because it was forwarded by Neil Gaiman, and he's one of my favourite authors. So yeah, it would be cool to just continue on with this. And I've read 2 books by this author now, and I quite like them. The other book was called Fluke, and I think it was about a dog. Yeah, I kind of want these next to each other. I don't know why they're separate. I think it's about a dog, but he has a memory of being a man before, so some sort of curse happened, and it was interesting, very, very strange. So I'm liking the kind of ideas that this author has, and I think I'd be interested once I finally pick this up to exploring more of his books as well. And I always see them for really good prices, like in charity shops and like online on eBay and stuff for cheap. And as I say, the next one on my list was also something that I did want to get to in October, and I just didn't. And that's one, it's, again, I think it's for the prompt of oldest book on my shelf, or the longest I've had it on my shelf, and that is Me, Earl and the Dying Girl. I've not seen the movie of this. I picked it up in a library sale like a couple of years ago, and I have to be in the mood for like contemporary. Sometimes I feel it and sometimes I don't, but this was, I guess, daunting because it's got death in the title, and I've recently had a very big loss, so I think I just, you know, put it off. But I'm like, the longer I put it off, the more I'm just not going to read it, and I would like to read everything I own at some point, whether I end up unhauling it or whatever. I would like to read everything that I currently have in my collection. So this one just says, my name is Greg Gaines, I am 17, I am the one who wrote this book. My physical appearance is unsatisfactory and there is probably a fungus eating my brain. I'm not even sure I'm human. Earl Jackson is the only person who is sort of my friend. We make mediocre films together. Werner Herzog is our biggest influence. Earl is generally filled with violent rage. During my senior year, my mother forced me to become friends with a girl who had cancer. That is a bit of a trigger for me, but we will see how it goes. This brought about the destruction of my entire life. If you seriously want to read about that, then I guess your brain punchily inane book is for you. So we'll see how it goes. It looks to be like a simpler, easy read, because, and I mean that because of the layout, like you've got some different like mixed media, if that makes sense. It's not just straight text, so I usually enjoy those sort of things when I do happen to stumble on those sort of books without realising. So I hope I enjoy it. I don't know, I'm a bit sceptical about it just because of the topic matter, but I don't know if it's actually really going to focus on that and more just about the friendship and having fun. But yeah, we shall see. We shall see. Cracking open a can of Fanta because I'm thirsty and in dire need of some fizzy. Elsa is getting closer and closer. She's like edging closer to my books. I think she just wants to bat them down as they turn it into piles. She's like, no, my civilization I will destroy. Okay. And then we've got another sort of newer release, and new to my collection as well, and that is the Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I really want to read something by him. I follow him on Twitter for the longest time, and I like how he's basically an adversary for mental health and just, you know, normalising it how it should be and just telling you straight how it is, and it's so relatable. So I'd love to read some of his books. I hear nothing but praise for a lot of them, and I recently just purchased The Humans. I saw it in a charity shop for a good price and got that as well, but I think I would want this to be the first one, just because I feel like I'm really in the mood for this, you know what I mean? So I just need to shut up and get to it. So the Midnight Library, I think, as I say, it's one of his newer releases, and I believe it's about, I know there's a lot of content warnings, but there's about a girl or a young woman or something who ends her life, and she comes to this place which to me sounds a bit like what an idea of purgatory might be, in between heaven and hell. I don't know how religious they go to it, if they even do religion in this book, but she comes to this place which is basically the Midnight Library, and she gets to try on, if you will, all these different lives that she may have lived had she not died. So I don't know, I feel like it, from the synopsis, it feels like it's got some hope in it and just like, whimsical and melancholy, but I feel like it could be quite hard hitting and sad, and obviously I'm hoping that it goes into depth about why she decided to do that, what led up to that, what her life was like. But yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be super depressing or if it was just like, oh well, this could have been but it's not now, and this is the fate that I chose for myself, and what else can I do? Do you know what I mean? Like, I hope there's like a kind message in it. Like, I don't want it to feel like someone's being berated for that choice. I don't know, I'm getting a bit off topic, but yeah, I'd like to read this. Got some depressing reads, and then the next lot of books are basically the library books that I took out of late, so I will just whiz through those because I've showed them and spoken about them in a haul recently. So we've got the 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. Have you guys watched the readathon, or yeah, the readathon of it, like the reading challenge called the 10,000 Doors readathon, I think it's called? That was really fun. If any of you guys, I think it's still ongoing throughout November, but I like the idea of it. I don't know if I'd have known earlier, I might have tried it, but yeah, got that one. Then we have The Gospel of Loki by Joanne M. Harris, The Confessions of Franny Langton by Sarah Collins, and the sequel to The Gospel of Loki, we've got The Testament of Loki, again by Joanne M. Harris. So those are all the books that I want to get to for the end of the year. Let's whiz on for my general winter kind of TBR. So some of these are more wintry themed, some of them are not. Some of them are just things, again, that have been on the back burn for a while that I would like to get to relatively soon. I've taken off some books that have recurred a bit. Some of them you've already seen in this other TBR that I've just talked about. Some of them I've just removed entirely and will come back to eventually. But another new to my collection, one that I bought this year off of a friend on Instagram, we've got Ember and the Ice Dragons by Heather Fawcett. I think it's a middle grade, just like an adventure story. I don't remember too much about it, but it says, Ember St. George is a dragon. At least she was before her adopted father, a powerful but accident-prone magician, turned her into a human girl to save her life. Unfortunately, Ember's growing tendency to burst into flames at certain temperatures, not to mention her invisible wings, is making it too dangerous for her to stay in London. The solution? To ship her off to her aunt's research station in frigid Antarctica. And then I guess she has these fun adventures. I don't know if they're constantly fun or if some are a bit harrowing, but with her aunt and in Antarctica. I wonder if she manages to turn back into a dragon. We shall see. Looks like a lot of fun. And then we've got this one, which is by Ben Miller. It's The Boy Who Made the World Disappear. I've sort of low-key been looking out for the other book called The Night I Met Father Christmas to sort of see if I can find it, but I haven't had any luck yet. But yeah, this one I bought also this year, and I just thought it'd be nice to read like a couple of middle grades over Christmas, where maybe you have some time off and it's just nice to have an easier chill read, just for pure enjoyment and chill, you know. So it says Harrison tries his best to be good. He doesn't always still he always shares with his sister, and he never cheats at board games. But Harrison is also a big flaw. He can't control his temper. So when he's given a black hole instead of a balloon at a party, Harrison jumps at the chance to get rid of everything that makes him cross. But then the things he loves start disappearing too, and Harrison realises that sometimes you should be careful what you wish for. So I think it might, in a gentle way, teach children how to understand their anger a little bit more and learn to communicate better, I would imagine. So it would be cool to see how this tackles that subject in a younger read. And another one that's been on my reoccurring TBRs is The Colour Purple by Alice Walker. I'm not even going to say any more about this. I really would like to read this sometime soon, and it's just not happened yet. I think it's because in my head I know someone has mentioned now, like I was watching some reading vlogs and stuff, that the first page is talking about a really horrible like abuse scene, but then in my head I feel like the whole vibe is generally one of hope, how this character gets out of her situation and stuff like that. So we will see. I think there's stuff about sexuality and things like that. I think it's going to be a very enjoyable, great, enhancing read. I just really need to get myself in the mind frame to kind of push through some of those harder scenes, you know. Then we've got another book that I sort of, well actually the next two were sort of ones I wanted to get through in October. Again, didn't happen. And with this one there was a sort of reason. So this is Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes. Absolutely love this edition. It's one of the Fantasy and Masterworks editions. I think they're so stunning. And this one was because when I went to see like if this was a series or whatever, I saw that it was a second in a series. So I did some research, and after a while, and it turns out the book before this, does it say it in here? I can't remember what it was called, but the book before this in this series, hello, oh it's Elsa. They can read like standalones, like you're not losing anything, but a lot of people say like read it, and then if you feel like you want more in the world, go back and read the first book if you want. But a lot of people say that it was a bit disappointing, to be honest, and you follow a complete different cast of characters. So I may just read this like a standalone. I don't know if my mind will allow me to not at least try and look into the other books a bit more and see if I want to continue, because I feel like in the back of my head, knowing that it's a series and not completing it as a series will sort of do something to me. I don't know what else is doing over there. Being naughty. She's like bunny hopping over places, I don't know. So we will see. Basically this one is the week before Halloween, and Cougar and Dark's Pandemonium Shadow Show has come to Greentown, Illinois. The siren song of the Calliope entices all with the promises of youth regained and dreams fulfilled. And as two boys trembling on the brink of manhood, that line really creeps me out a little bit, set out to explore the mysteries of the dark carnivals, smokes, mazes and mirrors. They will also discover the true price of innermost wishes. So I think they just learn a lesson not to be playing with some dark shit. So we will see. I think where it's winter, these sort of darker reads and things like that is still a vibe for me. Like I enjoy that when it's cold and dark outside and I'm like, ooh yeah, it's still spooky, you know. And the other one that's on that same sort of vein is the sequel to The City of Bones. This is The Tunnel of Bones. No, I meant City of Ghosts, sorry. This is The Tunnel of Bones by Victoria Schwab. As I say, it's a sequel. We're following a character called Cass. It's a middle grade as well, by the way. And her parents are starting this TV show, which is like a ghost hunting show. They write books of that genre, and they don't really sort of believe in it. They just sort of buy into the hype, and they're quite big in that industry, so they've made a TV show. But the funny and ironic thing is that Cass can actually see ghosts, and she actually has a ghost best friend. So yeah, the last book they were travelling to Edinburgh to go to their most haunted place, and now they're going, I can't remember where they're going now, to Paris. But there's still like an underlying plot. I don't know, I can't really remember how exactly it ended, but I don't know if that will continue on into this one or if it's a new kind of underlining plot that we're following. But very excited to get to this. Another new to my collection. Basically all of these are pretty much new to me. I think I bought them this year or received them this year. This one was a gift for my birthday, and that is A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. I am so excited to get to this. First of all, cover, absolutely stunning. Like, can we just talk about this for a moment? What a beautiful piece of art. I believe this is like YA sort of fantasy, and it's more, from what I've understood, it's not so much about the sirens aspect, but it's more about the characters being black and the black identity and experience. And I think something happens where it causes them to expose their abilities, and how that all wraps up together. So I think there's a lot of interesting conversations about race and identity, but then in amongst it you have that magical vibe of being a siren, and I hope they go into a bit of lore for that, because I would love to read more and more mermaid books for sure. What is she doing? I don't know what she's doing. Then I have The Conference of the Birds by Ransom Riggs. This is the 5th novel in the Miss Peregrine's Home Peculiar Children series, which I've spoken a hell of a lot about, so I'm not going to really go into depth about it. But the final book is coming out in, I want to say January or February, so I sort of want to read this closer to that release, just so if I get that relatively soon I can read them in quick succession of each other, but I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen. And if that does happen, that'll be another series down near the beginning of the new year. So yeah, cool about tackling them series that I've been reading for forever. Yeah, very excited to get to this. This is the Waterstones exclusive edition bonus content. Love that for me. Next up on my end of winter or winter TBR, we have The Recovery of Rose Gold by Stephanie Warbel, and this is one that I don't know why I just didn't read it as soon as I purchased it, because it sounded like everything that I was into right then. So it's basically, I believe, taken off of the true life event of Gypsy Rose, which is a really interesting case, and it's turned into, like, it's inspired by that heavily, I think, and it's turned into a story. It's a thriller, basically. Gypsy Rose, they've got a TV show now on, is it on Star? I don't know, or maybe Amazon Prime as well, about that case, and I can't remember what it was called. The Act, it's called The Act. So maybe look into that more if you want some information, because you might not want to know that going in. You might prefer your thrillers without any context, but that's why I was sort of drawn to this, because the name sounded familiar, and I was like, okay. And as I was reading it, I was like, I swear that sounds like that case, which I was very interested in watching documentaries on it, like last year or the year before. So yeah, I will read this, and then maybe we'll try and find where I can watch a TV show of that, to see how they do that version. Then I've got this. I've been holding it off. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to get to it in this winter, but I've been holding it off because I really want to buddy read it with my friend Maria, and that is Giovanna and Tom Fletcher's The Eve Illusion, which is the sequel to The Eve of Man. We both absolutely adored that book when it was released. I want to say it was 2018 maybe. I've got a full review on that and discussion if you're interested, so I'll link that up in the cards just to save me on time talking about it here. So I'll have to find out when she's got some free space mentally and physically to sit down and read, so we can read it together. And then the next load are a bunch of like comics and graphic novel sort of stuff, so just whizzing through these again because I've recently hauled them. We've got Cami Garcia's The Teen Titans Raven, illustrated by Gabriel Piccolo. We've got Neil Gaiman and Chris Riddell's The Sleeper and the Spindle. And we've got Harleen by Stefan Sejic. I might have pronounced that completely wrong. So yeah, that is it. That's all the books that I'm hoping to get to, like, within the next, like, obviously the end of year, and within the next, like, 3-4 months. Let me know what you're hoping to read for the end of year. We're trying to cram in. Maybe you finish those Goodreads goal. Oh, I finished my Goodreads goal. My goal was 90 and I've reached it. I reached it last night as I'm filming this, but I'm sort of low-key trying to get to 100. So we'll see if that will happen. I've still got a little bit of time. I've got like a month and a half left really, so we'll see. And yeah, let me know what you're really excited to get to in this last part of this year. Ready for 2020 to be over in some regards, but yeah, let's see what the new year brings though. Hopefully more positivity. I will keep my fingers and toes crossed for that. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you in another video soon.